Hi and welcome to Whisky Shared. You're watching my review of Whisky Works King of Trees. I'm Toby and you're watching Whisky Shared. Welcome to my review of Whisky Works King of Trees. If you're not familiar with Whisky Works, it's an independent arm of White & Mackay. King of Trees is a blended malt Scotch whisky. It's 10 years old, it's non-chill filtered, it's natural colour and it's 46.5% ABV. It retails for £75 and this particular bottle I got as part of my Summerton subscription and it cost me £50. This particular whisky has been aged in first fill and refill ex-bourbon casks, and it's also been part finished in native Scottish oak casks. Those Scottish oak casks were made from oak that came from wind-felled trees on a Highland estate. Should we find out what it tastes like? On to the whisky. Right, so before I start nosing and tasting, I will point out that this particular whisky is one of 2,157 bottles. Let's have a look at the colour. I'd say that's like a nice deep gold. It's not overly dark, but it does have a nice shade. Let's start with the nose. Right, so the first thing I get, it's really sweet. It's like pear drops. It's slightly tropical as well. I'm getting some wood, like sort of alcohol or whiskey soaked wood. Getting a hint of pepper in there. Now I'm starting to get like a green apple note. There's a little nuttiness in there. I'm getting like almonds. Reminds me of marzipan. It's lovely. There is some sweet vanilla in there too. And there is like a hint of yeastiness in the background. Not strong at all. Let's move on to the palate. Right, so the first thing I get is heat. There is a nice amount of heat. That probably comes from the decent ABV. But yeah, heat. Then I'm getting that peppery note as it's starting to get a little bit prickly on the tongue. And then this sweetness, it's just like simple vanilla at this stage. Let's have another sip. Yeah, so on the second sip, the flavours that are starting to develop now are things like orchard fruits. I'm getting those pears, I'm getting apple. Really is nice and fruity, and they really do have a nice depth to them. There's also sweetness like icing sugar, like powdered sugar, and there is a maltiness to it that follows with like a fizziness as it sort of tickles the tongue. That sort of initial pepper, which was like a spiciness, this is now like a tingling across the tongue, which doesn't really have the heat or the spice. In terms of finish, it does last quite long. It's I'd say it's medium, but for me, I'm getting quite a lot of bitter dry wood. It's not off-putting because that sweetness from the sort of vanilla note that I picked up is lingering with it, but it is quite noticeable, which only happens with a few whiskies where it really is quite strong. In terms of value, I think it's £75. I think this is probably hedging its bets ever so slightly. You can find it for cheaper if you do shop around. It's typically around £70. Obviously I got it as part of my Summerton subscription for £50, which makes it a lot better value. But if you do have a look around at the moment, I have found it as cheap as £55 plus delivery. So do take a look at that. It's a dram that took several drams when I first opened it to open up. That neck pour was quite disappointing. But once the bottle's been opened up, once you've had time for your palate to acclimatise to this dram, it really did reward the palate. Those orchard fruits were what really took a while to come through, but when they did, they were really impressive. It's one that I think I will definitely enjoy as the bottle goes down, and well, hopefully it'll get better as it did when I opened it, and yeah, if it does, then I'll definitely be looking for another bottle. But it is a limited edition. It was released in 2019, so I don't think there'll be that many of them left. If it sounds like your cup of tea, then I'll put a link in the description, and well, bottles like this can be found on the Summerton Club subscription. If that sounds of interest, I'm not paid to say anything. I pay my money like everybody else. I'll put a link in the description for that too. I'll see you next time. Sancha. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment? And please consider subscribing for more videos like this.